4th webinar hosted by the Center for Applied Linguistics Education Connections Initiative. We are thrilled to have all of you with us tonight and also to be hosting our guest presenter, Kia McDaniel. She is the ESOL Instructional Supervisor for Prince George's County Public Schools in Maryland, just outside Washington, D.C., where we are at Cal. Thank you, Kia, and everyone for being with us this afternoon. We wanted to extend a warm welcome to each of you, no matter where you're coming from and who you are. Special welcome to everyone who's a member of Education Connections, and a very special welcome to all of you who might be new to Education Connections as well. We are an initiative of the Center for Applied Linguistics. We obviously host webinars, but we do a number of other things that we'll tell you about as well. Our agenda for the next hour is we'll do a very brief introduction to Education Connections for those of you who may be new to us. Then Kia will share her presentation on college and career readiness for English learners. And then we'll reserve some time for Q&A both in the middle of her presentation and then at the end as well. And here on your screen you can see that's a hyperlink to Education Connections, edconnect.obaverse.net. if you're interested in learning more. During the presentation, we would love for you to join us on Twitter. We will be tweeting out some images and quotes and things like that from the webinar. We are EdConnectCal on Twitter, and we use the hashtag EDCONX. So feel free to join us there. We have a lot of teachers that we've connected with on Twitter, so we'd love to get a conversation there going as well. So just briefly, Education Connections is an initiative of the Center for Applied Linguistics. It's an online community of teachers working together to implement standards-based instruction with English learners. So we have both ESOL instructors as well as content area teachers from a number of different grade levels all over the United States. And we host a number of different kinds of ways to participate, which you can see there. One of our most popular features is our weekly tips and fun facts, which if you're a member of Education Connections, they come to your email. A lot of our members forward those to their colleagues and use them in their teaching, their turn and take ideas. So this is something to continue to feed your instructional practice. As a reminder, we will post an archive of the webinar, a video archive of the full event, as well as a PDF of the PowerPoint. The PDF of the PowerPoint is actually already there, as well as attached as a handout within the GoToWebinar window. So if you click on handouts, you'll see that there, and that will also be posted in Education Connections. If you have any questions, you can email us or ask us. Feel free to post questions within the questions box within GoToWebinar, or email us. We'll share our email address later on. So we are now going to do a few polls to learn a little bit about who is here. We always love to see who we've got in the room since we can't actually see each other's faces. So what is your current position? Are you a general education teacher, an ELL, ESOL, bilingual teacher or coordinator or administrator, or an instructional coach or teacher educator? We're sure a number of you are also fall into different roles within your schools, districts, and organizations where you work. So there's that catch-all other at the end as well. Okay, so we have a lot of people working across pre-K-12 and at college and universities. So that's great. Hopefully we can get a lot of ideas for how we can bridge those tonight, talking about college and career readiness. Perfect. Great to have you all. All right, and the third question, we're curious about which region of the country do you work in? Northeast, Midwest, Southwest, or outside of the US? All right, we're pretty spread out. That's great. So a bunch of people in the Northeast were like us, and then even a good handful outside of the United States as well. Great. Okay, and finally, we're curious how many English learners your district serves. Yeah. All right, we've got such a big spread. It's very interesting. So lots of different populations of English learners represented through your districts. A number that have only a few English learners and a number that have very many English learners. So I think there will be something for everyone from Kia's presentation, and will be interesting to hear how you'll apply this maybe to your different contexts as we have some opportunities to interact throughout the webinar. So we will now turn this over to Kia, and she will share about what's going on in Prince George's County.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm excited to share with you all just some of the work that we're doing in our district to support English learners to make sure that they're college and career ready. And some of the work I'll be sharing with you all has been existing for quite some time, and there's other work that we're really just getting started with. So I'm really going to present the whole gamut and let you know how we got there and what supports we were able to put in place and where we hope to go with servicing our population. So during our time today, let's see, I am going to provide you with the overview of our district demographics. Also take some time to share with you some of the options that we provide to our students through the courses that we provide and curriculum development, and look at some of the support structures that we have in place in order to make sure that schools are able to service their ELs appropriately, that a central office is providing them with appropriate support, and that we're getting feedback from them on a regular basis to see what's working and what isn't. So just to tell you a little bit about my district, we are considered the 21st largest school district in the United States. We have 207 different schools. And one of the things that's really unique about our district is that we are urban, suburban, and rural. It really just depends on what part of the county you're in. And so with this variety of different schools, we have different varieties of students coming to us. Being so close to Washington, D.C., we have a wealth of diversity within our population of students in general, but specifically in our ESOL population as well. So just to give you a little bit of background specifically about our EL demographics, right now we have a little over 25,000 students who are enrolled in our ESOL program. You'll notice that majority of our students are at the elementary level. And this is because our students come to us in elementary school because they speak a language other than English in the home, and this is their first English-speaking experience. But we also have a growing high school population due to many unaccompanied youth coming to our area, and we also service a high refugee population as well. And so we're really trying to look across the gamut how we're able to service students to make sure that all the educational options we have open for our mainstream population are also open to our English learners. So within our population of international students, there's a great amount of diversity. So about 70% of our English learner population are Spanish speaking, but students come from 165 different languages and they speak 126 different languages. So these are just some of the top countries that are represented by our students and the top languages represented. Again, you'll notice that most of our students, and those are those elementary students I was discussing earlier, come from the United States. They were born in the United States, but they, again, do qualify for ESOL services because they speak a language other than English in the home. So what we always are trying to figure out and trying to support is our English learners and what their plans are for the future. Because there are many different definitions of success, and success means different things to different students and to different families. So in some, these are just a couple quotes that we gathered from students when I'm going out to schools and talking to them when piloting different lessons, when piloting different programs. So we had one student whose goal was to finish this school year with good grades, to take AP classes, and to join the Air Force. That is what he needed in order to feel successful. Another student wanted to be in 11th grade and eventually graduate from high school because she wanted to be a nurse. Other students one student wanted to pass the state assessments and have a high school diploma and be able to help homeless people. And yet another student, one of our sixth graders, didn't know what they wanted to be. They just want to graduate from high school and be able to choose their careers. And that's really where we are. Our goal is to prepare students for whatever academic or career path that they choose. And we want all of the options to be available to them. We don't want them to say, I didn't get the proper education to be able to go on to college. I didn't get the proper education to go on to pursue my dream career. And so we are taking it seriously with regards to the options that we provide our students so that they can choose where they would like to be. So our path to improvement, it continues. We are always looking for ways to improve, but we've made a few stops on the way. And so in our quest to continuously improve the instruction and program options that we provided to ELs, we have made our greatest gains by developing ELL toolkits for content areas and our language-based instructional supplement. So really providing support to our colleagues in the content areas on how to specifically scaffold instruction for their English learners in their content area classrooms so that students are able to get access to that same content as their mainstream peers, but also while learning the language. And we know that as the specialists in the areas of language, it's our responsibility to make sure that they had all the tools they need to be successful. We have also worked at providing additional program models and ways of accessing instruction for our students. And all these things I'll be talking about during my time with you all here today. Expanding our professional development options to teachers and making sure that we have some face-to-face, some online time to really delve into the curriculum that teachers are responsible for teaching in their respective areas, but making the connections to what is really needed for our English learners. And we've gotten a lot of many gains with providing systemic literacy support, looking at each teacher as a teacher of literacy and making sure that those pieces are embedded into their curriculum and lessons and the different programs that we set up for our students. So we are always, again, on this path to improvement and always looking at ways that we can revise and improve the support that we're providing to our students, families, and teachers. So part of the providing systemic literacy support was the result of developing a rigorous literacy plan in which every educator was required to include literacy and language into their lessons. and their instruction. And so we really started out systemically. This is not just an effort of the ESOL department, but really collaborating with our colleagues, collaborating with our school administrators and teachers to define literacy and language instruction as everyone's responsibility, and everyone taking on that responsibility and knowing what that looks like in their respective areas. And so in order to do that, we had to examine the current literacy practices that we had in our classes and see what strengths were there, the challenges that were there, and what needed to be put into place. As the onset of Common Core came to Maryland, we were examining close and critical reading and how that played a role in the instruction that was provided. And so we ultimately developed a literacy toolkit that includes strategies and different prompts that focus on reading, writing, and reasoning that can be used across a variety of content areas. So what does this look like for our L's? Some of the things that you'll see in every classroom that has English learners are teachers building background knowledge, the vocabulary development, making sure they have academic vocabulary of that particular content area, making sure that there's possibly modified text for students when it is needed. We, again, have many students who are coming to us with low literacy skills, and we want to make sure they're exposed to the same content, but it's not going to be at the same level. It's not going to be at the same pace. But we want to make sure that we have those modified texts available for them, and that at whatever level of proficiency students are coming to us with, that we are engaging students in unlocking the prompts. This is not just for the standardized assessments that they have, which obviously will come in handy there, but we want our students to really understand the content that they are reading and be able to ask clear questions and be able to understand the questions that are being asked of them. So we're going to just take a minute or two to just share out some other ideas from your districts. What are some of the systemic supports that you have in place at your school or in your district that promote L's literacy development? You can go ahead and type those in the question box. You won't be able to see them, I don't believe, but we're going to share some of those out. Lindsay, are you able to see any of the responses?
Yeah, I see just a couple coming in now. So if
Okay.
others, yeah, I see a few now. So if others have thoughts, yeah, just post them as questions, even though we're doing a quick write. We're just using the questions box for this purpose. So yeah, I see a bunch more coming in. Great.
So I think you're going to have to read some of them out because I'm not able to see them.
Oh, you can't see them. Okay. Yeah, if you
No.
pop out the questions box, you can do that. But I will go ahead and read some of the ones that I see here. So we have someone that says they have sheltered literacy instruction for levels 1, 2, and 3. Someone else says some schools engage systematically in close reading. At the secondary level, we have some courses designed to help engage students with reading. Another person said they have an ESL conversation group, either as a registered course or as an extracurricular program. Someone else said they have weekly English learner tips that are emailed to teachers. And someone else said at the community college, English learners have ESL classes for lower English composition courses. So a wide variety of strategies that are being reported.
Yes, that's some great things going on. Awesome. I love those tips emailed every week. All right, thank you
Yeah,
all for sharing. I'm going to continue. And so I guess, Lindsay, when we get to questions, I'll have you share those with me as well, because even with the pop-out, I'm not able to see it.
perfect. Yeah, I can do that. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. So we have several specialty programs in our district that we want all of our students to be able to have access to. So these are just a few that I want to share with you all, just so you can see where we were starting. And so we have a variety of creative and performing arts programs. We have IB program. We have a great program, the Academy of Health Sciences, where students are being prepared for medical fields, health in the health sciences, and they actually graduate with an associate's degree at the same time they're graduating from high school. We have a variety of career academies, which I'll get to in a few minutes. Our aerospace engineering and aviation technology program, our CTE technical academies, and these are programs that lead to industry certification. So by participating in these programs, students are leaving us with both a high school diploma and their industry certification, ready to work in the field that they've been prepared for. We have science and tech programs, international high schools, and language immersion programs. So with all of these specialty programs available, we wanted to make sure, and we continue to want to make sure, that our Ls are able to access these programs. But as you know, with limited English, oftentimes you are not able to access the content of a health sciences program, or you may be arriving to our county just as a high schooler and you haven't had previous experience, so you weren't here to apply for the program. And so I'm going to walk you all through just some of the things that we've put in place to be able to prepare students to participate in programs of this nature, and share some of the other programs that we have in place as well. Just to give you a little bit more information about our career academies, our ultimate goal was to have the academies available, at least one career academy available in all of our high school. So they're not each available in every high school, but there are some career academies in each high school. And so those listed here are just, again, some of the options open to our students. And we continue to provide professional development to the teachers in these programs to make sure that they know how to teach. Obviously, they already know their content, but how do they teach English learners, especially when we have professionals from the field coming in who do not have a background in pedagogy to begin with. It's very difficult for them to just come in and know what to do with a student who has limited English, but we are making sure to prepare them and to prepare our students to be able to access the information. So how do we really go about doing this? In order to provide access to all these college and career options, we had to modify our course sequence and the order in which students were being exposed to different courses and information that were both required and or optional to get into some of these programs. We've had to develop new courses to be able to provide access to make sure that students were getting the extra support that they need. We had to allow multiple entry points for entrance into programs. So we know that many of our English learners, again, are coming to us as high schoolers for the very first time. So we don't need them to make a decision to apply to a program in 8th grade. We want to expand the options for them and make sure that they have the opportunity to participate. And again, as I've mentioned, expanding the training for teachers, training those specialty area teachers who are, again, great at their content, know their fields, but providing them with the strategies and resources that they need in order to reach the English learners that are in their classrooms. So just to briefly share a little bit of our course sequence. And if you want to look at this in a larger fashion, there is a link to a tiny URL where you can download this actual document, or if you want to reference it later to see how we structure the courses for students. Students at the high school level come in one of 4 levels. They may be a newcomer student, a beginner, intermediate student, or an advanced student. And so for those students who are coming to us as newcomers, we want to make sure that they are, number one, beginning to accumulate credits from the very first day of school, that they're not just taking all elective credits. And so a part of that has been to make sure that all of the ESOL courses that we provide, our students get English credit for those courses. And so their core English requirements are being met by being enrolled in an ESOL newcomer, beginner, intermediate, or advanced class. And that was a huge change that we had to make because we had too many students who had to end up doubling up in English. But on the flip side of that, we had to really incorporate more of the standards and skills that are included in our English courses into our ESOL courses as well. And so that required lots of training for our ESOL professionals to make sure that they understood how the curriculum is being improved, and make sure that they understand the skills and strategies that are being shifted from the English classes into more and more into the ESOL classes for our students. We also have classes, and I'm going to just describe them in a few minutes, where we teach students the language of the content areas specifically in order to prepare them better when they get into a mainstream class. And these are, again, classes for our newcomer and beginner students. So you'll see in social studies, we have a course called The Language of American History. In science, we have a course, Language of Science. These two courses are elective courses that are taught by an ESOL teacher, but it's focusing on the language of those respective areas. And we have seen that our students' ability to be successful in the subsequent courses, U.S. history and integrating the sciences, has been tremendous because they've had all of this support before they got there. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of information about how we have structured some of our courses. So in the state of Maryland, we have a requirement that all students must take 4 years of mathematics. And so this is a change for us because previously students just had to have 3 years of mathematics. So in order to meet this demand and to better prepare our students, we worked with our mathematics department to create a course called Applications in Algebra. And this course really consists of the academic skills and language expectations that we need students to have in order to get ready for Algebra 1, so that they're not just walking into Algebra 1 cold. We have students who, again, if this is their first opportunity to participate in any kind of formal education, this really backs up the standards. It starts as low as identifying numbers and moves up to algebraic concepts. And so each lesson consists of learning outcomes, the essential questions. We present the student misconceptions so that teachers can see some of the challenges students may have. And of course, we're presenting the academic vocabulary that students need in order to be successful. And so there's a clear sequence of objectives, alignment to Common Core standards. We have the integration of the content and language to prepare ELs for algebra. And there are lots of resources within the classroom and example questions and things of that nature, hands-on activities to make sure that students have the opportunity to really get both the language and the content in mathematics before they get to algebra. And so just so that you can see, this is an overview of the content that you would see in Applications to Algebra throughout the 5 units throughout the school year. And so you can see at the very in the transitional chapter, we are going to the very basic level of looking at the identification of numbers, because we're not taking for granted that students have this information. And again, you have to think about the student who is enrolled in this course. And let me also let you all know that we do have an assessment, a math assessment, that all of our international, our English learners take as a placement test, because we don't say, oh, well, just because a student's a newcomer, they must go into Applications in Algebra. We know that that is definitely not the case. We have many students who do have previous experience with mathematics in their native countries and their native schooling, and so they are able to go to higher mathematics classes. This class is designed for those students who are true newcomers, who do not have the language, who do have interrupted education and really need us to start from the very beginning. So in that transitional chapter or unit, you'll see the identification of numbers, going to decimal operations, moving to conversion of fractions. So they're getting the content and the language they need. And then we go across to the different units, moving to equivalent expressions, moving into functions, solving equations. I'm looking at linear functions and equations and the data analysis. And the best case scenario, this class is taught by a certified math teacher and co-taught with a teacher who is a language professional and ESOL specialist. Unfortunately, we are not able to do that in all of our schools. So in some classrooms, this class is just taught by a math teacher, but it has to be taught by a certified math teacher because of the content. The curriculum provides the overall scaffolding and strategies that are needed to be able to support students at varying levels of proficiency, those newcomer and beginner students. So we also have our Language of American History and Language of Science classes. And for these two classes, our beginner and newcomer students do receive elective credit for their participation, but there is alignment to state standards, both the language and content standards. The vocabulary of social studies and science is highly integrated throughout the course. Teachers are provided with the content and language objectives and key grammar points that students need to know in order to be able to access the language and access the content as well. This course is taught by an certified ESOL teacher. So it is elective credit, but it is taught by a certified ESOL teacher because it is a language of that particular content area. So different from mathematics because they are receiving a math credit. They must be taught by a math certified teacher and because of the content, that knowledge that's needed. And then we move to the language of these two classes, and you'll see that that will be taught by an ESOL teacher. So just looking at some of the types of activities you might see students doing in a Language of American History classroom. They might act out dialogues from different historical events, and we're giving teachers the information about who the possible characters could be, and we provide them with some sample dialogues, things of that nature in the curriculum. We have that language focus. They're using cause, effect, signal words to write sentences, not necessarily an essay because our students aren't there yet. We're getting started with just the sentences and then moving on from there. We have students create a timeline of events and a particular time in history that they're studying. And so their research might be to write 7 to 10 sentences about a patriot in the American Revolution. And so the content is not missing here. We're just scaffolding the amount of language that students need to use and produce in order to demonstrate their understanding of the content that they're being taught. And once they get to their mainstream history class, or science class, they're much better prepared because, again, they have had this support. For our students with limited formal education, we have a course called the AIM course, which is Alternate Instructional Model. This course has a very specific population that it targets. And so it would be for students who do not have any formal education in their native language or very limited formal education. They may not be able to show age-appropriate social behavior in their classrooms, just again because they have not been in a school setting before. And we find oftentimes our students who have had any kind of interruption by civil strife, family relocation, etc., who are functioning below a third grade level are enrolled in this course as well. So these classes tend to be very small, but that is actually beneficial for our students to make sure that they're getting the basic literacy skills that they need in order to be able to even access those courses that I've mentioned to you, the language of American history, language of science, or the applications in algebra. And so just some of the basic skills that are taught in AIM. Again, we do not assume that there are any basic concepts or skills in place for students who meet the criteria for this course. And so students may not have the concepts such as left, right, top, or bottom. They might not be able to hold a pencil or orient to a line on a page. So that's why, and this is, again, a high school course. We do have some of our middle schools that offer it depending on the location of the school, if they're seeing this population of students. And so there are very basic literacy skills that you'll see here, those motor skills with cutting, coloring, letter recognition, letter formation, just scanning for information, alphabetizing. And so we're realists and we want to meet our students where they are. And if students need these basic literacy skills taught to them, we are going to make sure that they get the exposure and get the support, and then we will move them up to the next courses that they need in order to be successful. This is also taught by an ESOL professional as well. Just this school year, we have started a new program. We are part of a pilot program with our state Department of Education called the GED Options Pilot Program. And so this program is designed for students who may be over age and undercredited. We've seen quite an increase in the students who are coming to us at the age of 17, 18, 19, obviously as high school students who do not have any credits. They have not been to school before, maybe in their native country or in the US. And so we were trying to find some different options for students because our traditional program was not working for them. Many students were dropping out or just disengaged. And so we're working on this program. And so far, based on our students' feedback, seeing some success, but we will see as we progress throughout the years how many graduates we are able to get from this program. And so the GED Options Pilot Program is housed in our evening high school. And so students come to school between 5:30 and 9:20, Monday through Thursday. And they are learning English while also being prepared for the GED. Now, this is different from an adult education program for a few different reasons. First of all, students are actually enrolled in our school system. They are not, this is not through a community college. The teachers are teachers within our district. They are using pieces of our curriculum, and we're also bringing extra resources to prepare them for the GED. They are not taking the exact same standardized assessments as their counterparts who are in our day program, and they're not accumulating credits per se because they are just working towards the GED and getting and passing those subtests. And if you know anything about the GED, and most of our students are Spanish speakers, but not all, it is also available to them in Spanish. So in many cases that can help our students if they're literate in their native language to be successful in that content. There's no amount of time, there's not a specific amount of time students have to be enrolled in the program. Really, we are here to support them until they pass all 4 subtests of the GED. But we are estimating for the students that we have that will probably take about 2 years, 2.5 years to prepare them. Really, our students, the students who qualify for this program are the students who would be aging out of our high schools. So we're only able to keep students until they are 21 years old. And if you're coming as a 19-year-old or a 20-year-old, you are going to our students run out of time before they can accumulate all of the credits that they need before they can graduate. And so this is just an option for students, and we present this as a completely optional program for students. If they, even if a student comes tomorrow who is 19 years old, who will not have the ability to graduate because they just don't have enough time and they wouldn't be able to earn the proper credits. We would still, if they choose to go to the day program, they would still be admitted into the day program. They would just take as many courses as they could until they reach the age of 21, until they age out of the program. This was just another option to provide our students with a high school diploma, because if you do get a GED through this program, you will still get a high school diploma from our state. So they'll be getting the same high school diploma through taking this, participating in the GED Options Pilot Program. So we're really excited about this possibility and what it means for our students. But again, we are just starting this school year, so we have to see what changes we're going to have to make and what additions and additional support based on the teachers and student feedback. Another thing I just wanted to share with regards to this particular program is that there is continuous enrollment for students. And that means that at whatever point students come to us in the school year, because we get many students who are enrolling each day, everyone does not begin the day after Labor Day, which is our first day of school. They may just be coming to the country. They may have other circumstances where they just come to register for school in November, December, January. We will admit students to this program at any point in the year if they choose to participate in the program. So looking at those students who are enrolled in this program, they have to meet certain criteria. And again, students are learning English while preparing for the GED, and they are enrolled in high school, which also makes a difference for our students who have court-mandated opportunities. They must be enrolled in school. Being enrolled in a adult education program would not satisfy that requirement, but this does because they're enrolled directly with the school district. So we just have this criteria for students. We are an access state, so we use the WIDA access to determine students' language proficiency, and so they have to we look at their age, the number of credits they have, and this is the maximum number of credits they are able to have, their language proficiency at their respective grade levels to determine if they can participate, and then also their years in U.S. school. Because if students have the opportunity to participate in our traditional high school program, we would like for them to take that option. But again, this is something that we're opening up to students who meet this criteria. We also have 2 international high schools, and we opened these high schools about 2 years ago when we partnered with the Internationals Network. And so these high schools are open to English learners of all proficiency levels, and students are grouped heterogeneously regardless of their proficiency level, and they are going through the core content. The instruction at the school is a little bit different in that they participate in lots of project-based learning. There's flexible curriculum where teachers are bringing in additional resources and supports. There's different grading with a competency-based model. They are partnering with area organizations to utilize some different curriculum at times to bring in different resources. And one of the other things that's different is that the staff are 12-month teachers, and so that provides the opportunity to automatically provide some summer support, ongoing support to students throughout the school year, and teachers will definitely already be there. And so our international high schools are really working to make sure that they're incorporating wraparound services for the students who are enrolled in their schools. And these are 2 high schools that are housed in other high schools but have their own administration, their own teachers, their own resources. So we're going to do another quick write for you to just kind of debrief some of this information and think about what supports have you found valuable in preparing your newcomer or beginner English learners for college and career. And you can write those in the question box as well.
So we'll give people a couple minutes to put in their responses, and then I'll read some out to you. Okay, so we've got a number of responses coming in and a bunch of responses still coming in. We've got a couple people talking about content area vocabulary, as well as the discourse of the content area. So some of the topics that you had listed on a prior slide. Some people talking about collaboration across departments, as well as area universities for support. So the importance of working together across areas and institutions. Again, someone talking about instruction in language and content together. They say it's very exciting that you're doing that. I definitely agree. We have someone saying that their district CTE school does an excellent job preparing English learners for workplace expectations, language, exams, etc., which they're calling PWR skills, post-secondary workforce readiness skills there. Someone's district is doing summer language programs. Another is doing Rosetta Stone for building language. Another is doing career exploration and concurrent enrollment in a support class within adult ed and a CTE class within the college.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, a lot going on. Yeah, another one talking about local community college with a strong ESOL support system. Someone else mentioning community organizations and career professionals who come in to speak to the students. Yeah, so we've got a wide range again of strategies that they're engaging in.
Those sound great. I think, and I have not, obviously we only have an hour together, and I did not stress the collaboration across institutions that someone mentioned in their comment. We are able, because we're in this DC area, there are lots of organizations available to help to support our district and our students, whether that be with internships, whether that be with professional development. So we work with the Center for Applied Linguistics. We do a lot of work with University of Maryland, College Park. We work with Casa de Maryland. There are so many different organizations that have really led us to being able to provide the support to our students. So that's definitely a key part. So the collaboration internally, but also the collaboration across institutions. So I think we have a moment for a few questions before I get into how we support schools and implementing many of the things that I have shared.
Yeah, so we had a couple of questions posted earlier about the math placement that you were talking about. So one person asked, is your math placement a district developed tool? And another person was curious about the name of the math diagnostic you use. Another person asked if it, yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, those are good questions. It is actually a district developed tool, basically aligned to the core concepts in the different classes that students would take. So that basic applications in algebra, then moving to algebra 1, geometry, etc. But it does not have a heavy language within the concepts that are asked there, to just really try to get at what students know and not how much language they have. So that is something that we worked with our mathematics department to develop.
Great. And someone else was asking, it's just something you do as a district, so it's not something that any other districts in the state of Maryland would use?
Correct. Right. This is something that we do as a district. Now, if other districts have developed their own, I can't speak to that, but this is specific to our district.
Okay. Great. Those are the only questions that have come in so far. So we'll have a couple minutes for questions at the end if there are others. But yeah, Kia, you can keep moving forward and we'll see what other questions come in the meantime.
Sounds good. I got a few more minutes here and then we can take some more questions before we wrap up. So how do we support schools to be able to assist? How do we support them to make sure that they're able to implement many of the things that I've shared with you all? Because what we are doing is providing the supports and structures, but really at the school level is where a lot of this is being implemented. And so we do have some ESOL coaches that are on staff. And so their role is to provide one-on-one coaching to our mainstream content area teachers on how to differentiate instruction for their English learners. And as I've shared, those are in those core content areas, but we have also expanded to our career academies and our specialty programs to make sure that any teacher who teaches an English learner is armed with the skills and strategies to be able to reach their students. With regards to the ESOL coaches, they're able to conduct informal classroom visits, really give some information back, some feedback back to teachers on their instruction, and possibly modeling lessons for them, helping them with curriculum or lesson planning and things of that nature. And we have quite a few focus groups. So some of our focus groups include, supporting ELs with technology, looking at supporting pre-K English learners, things of that nature, supporting mathematics, English learners in mathematics classrooms. So really a particular focus area to make sure that we are utilizing research-based strategies to maximize students' learning across the content areas. And our ESOL coaches and our mentors as well also do support our new ESOL teachers. And so we want to make sure that we are not neglecting our own teachers in our department, but also providing them with support with how they can reach out to the teachers that they work with and provide strategies and internal professional development, giving them resources to do professional development, making sure that they understand the lesson planning process for our district, and what instruction should look like for English learners, because they are the professional in their building that everyone's going to come to when it comes to language support. So just a few other things. We do have quite a few professional professional development courses. So those are listed here. But we provide these continuing professional development courses taught by our teachers to any teacher who would like to enroll. They are free of charge. And so they go anywhere from second language acquisition, teaching ELs in the math classroom, assessing English learners, and you can read those there at your leisure. We are also make sure that we provide training to our administrators so that they understand what they should see in every classroom that has English learners. And so we are doing a series of trainings this year, and these are just some of the trainings that we're offering. So what are our new accountability measures under ESSA? For access, the language proficiency assessment we use, how they should monitor instruction for English learners. And I can't say enough how much that should not just be the ESOL classroom, but any classroom that has English learners. And what do our special populations in ESOL look like? So how do we service newcomers versus English learners with disabilities versus students with limited formal education, our long-term ELs, and our refugee students? So we have done a lot in the past and continue to try to improve our program. And just some of the key lessons or takeaways that I can share with you all is that all components are really equally as important. I know sometimes we want to focus on our curriculum or our PD or our course sequence or the programs that we have in place, but really all of those pieces come together and are equally important, and the support that we're able to provide. We need to make sure that we include the student voice and get to know what they need and what they like and what they don't like, and make those changes accordingly. Have those systemic connections across schools, across offices, so that we're not working in silos, and remembering that this process is cyclical. Like, we're never done. We're always looking to improve, and we always have to improve for the betterment of our program and our students' opportunities. So as we move forward in the future, we want to make sure that we have a variety of programs and options open for our students and parents. Make sure that these programs meet their social and academic needs, enhance our neighborhood school programs. So we want to have as many programs as possible available at as many schools as possible, and those that have more interest to continue to expand those as quickly as possible. And that key piece of making sure that we receive and take the feedback from our stakeholders for our student success is where we want to continue to be. So for some reason, my Twitter handle didn't come up here, but I'm just Kia_McDaniel. And I see some tweets have come through from Ed Connect Cal, so you can just find me there if you want to learn more about our program, or just a few things regarding to language, random thoughts regarding to providing support to English learners. And I think we have time for some questions.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Kia. This was really fantastic. We do have a few great questions here. First one, what do students do in the GED program during the day?
So they are not in school during the day. Some of our students are working during the day, and they just come to school in the evening. So this was an option for students who were responsible for working, as well as those who just did not want to go to school during the day. So they're only coming to school during our evening school hours. Good question.
Great. Someone else asking, do all schools K-12 provide available tutors to help English learners with grammar and composition?
So we do not have tutors, but I will say that all of our elementary and middle schools provide ESOL support, whether that's through a full-time or itinerant ESOL teacher. And at the high school level, all of our schools do not have an ESOL program, but if the school that's closest to you does not, so your neighborhood school doesn't have an ESOL program, then you go to the closest school at the high school level that does have an ESOL program, and transportation is provided.
Great. Yeah, those logistical things can be so critical, like transportation,
absolutely.
as we know.
And
Yeah, that's great. Someone asked, you had a slide that included WIDA proficiency level guidelines for English learners to enroll in your GED options program. Do you have similar guidelines for your other academies and programs?
No, we do not. That's a really good question. We do not have specific language proficiency requirements for students to go into those other career academies. So we make sure they go through those preliminary courses that I shared with you all, and then they complete the same application as our mainstream students, and we do not use language as a barrier for preventing them for participating. And so the criteria I showed for the GED program was really making sure that their language proficiency was under a certain amount, because we think that they could access the core curriculum if they are at a higher proficiency level. It's a great question.
Fantastic. Okay, maybe just one more. We can squeeze something else in. How do you ensure that your English learner students are aware of and know about these programs?
So we have a diversity office, actually, and we have quite a few parent workshops that are provided in multiple languages. We send home information. And have meetings where there are interpreters available for families. We have this information posted online in multiple languages, and we have our ESOL intake counselors. So those counselors, when students come to enroll for the very first time in our school district, they are giving this information to them from the very beginning. Even if you're a middle school student or just getting started with high school, say these are some of the options for you that will be coming up, or something that you can consider. So we're trying to reach students on every end when they get here, while they're here, parent meetings, however we can.
Great. Fantastic. And here's one last quick one. What supports exist for undocumented students applying to college in 30 seconds or less?
Oh my, well, that's at the district level, there isn't a lot of support, but we do refer to area organizations that can support students in that process. So obviously we don't know if students are undocumented or not, because we do not ask that information, but if a student expresses that they are, we can connect them to community organizations that provide support.
Great. Thank you so much for that. I wanted to get that one in there. It was a great question. All right, so we've hit 5, so we're going to say thank you and goodbye to you, Kia, and everyone. Thank you, all of you, for taking the time to spend with us today. We know all of your time is very precious, and Kia, a special, very big thanks to you. We've gotten a bunch of people writing in the questions box that they're grateful for this information and that this was really valuable. So we're so grateful for your time, Kia, and thank you, everyone, for spending time with us. You have Kia's information if you want to reach out to her. Feel free to reach out to us as well, edconnect@cal.org, edconnect.obaverse.net, and follow us on Twitter, as well as Kia_McDaniel on Twitter as well. So we look forward to connecting with you further and wish everyone a great evening. Bye.